All right, Mackenzie
Got
Phillips,
it.
welcome to the Primal Foundations podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here.
Yeah, this is super exciting. I'm super happy to talk to you. And the original reason I want to talk to you was because went to one of your animal flow classes, and I'm just so interested in that and that the aspect of movement. But then as we were kind of talking offline a little bit, I was like, as I researched a little more about you, it's a animal flow regional leader, kettlebell instructor, snowboarder, Spartan races, bikini, and you're also a lawyer.
Sometimes, throughout the day,
Oh
like
my
anaerobic
gosh.
and aerobic energy, just switching back and forth, right? Like in the Spartan
Yeah.
race.
I was like, wow, I'm like, this needs to be like, like a show. You gotta have your own show.
Right. Right.
Like,
Hey, tell everyone.
there you go. So I want to start by kind of getting your background a little bit. Can you tell the listeners
Mhm.
about yourself and how you got on your fitness journey?
Yeah. So, well, this year actually, I've been practicing law 20 years, but about 7 or 8 years ago, I started my business, Maeve 40 Fitness, and that really came out of starting to jump into some bikini bodybuilding competitions after my father passed, actually, just about 10 years ago. And that was, I just, I've always been pretty disciplined about my fitness, but I just wanted to make sure that sort of overeating and just sort of grieving in that way was not part of my journey, to be very honest. So I wanted something to kind of keep me structured. And boy, did it. So I jumped into bikini bodybuilding. I really didn't know what to expect. Actually, one of my um, a former coach of mine got me into it, and I just loved it. I mean, I love competition, so I started off, and I was just became really curious about the body and how through nutrition and movement you can really cut your body into really whatever you want it to be, and that became a real curiosity for me. And I started my business really not as a means to work with clients immediately because I was still very much in corporate law practice. But I just said, oh, I'll just start off nice and easy, and I'll get my website up, and then I'll do this and that and the other. And through the coach that I was doing the bikini bodybuilding with, she said, "Hey, I've got this fitness party for women, and we need a fourth coach." And I had just completed my NASM CPT, and I said, "You know what? Sure, I'll join in." And of course, once I got involved, I invited people, and we had 40 women, and there were 20 of them were in like my guests. So I said, okay, so maybe there's a little bit of, I got some beginner's luck, some momentum, and I just continued to kind of build from there. And that's kind of what May 40 Fitness kind of developed out of really trying to invite and inspire women to reclaim that warrior spirit within them. Maeve was a warrior queen in Ireland. My whole name is Irish Scottish. So I wanted to have that sort of connection to that, with it also starting at with the letter M. And I believe I was 40 at the time. I'll be 47 in 2 days. So, so
You
yeah, that's
don't you
kind
don't
of
look
the
it. You
backstory.
don't look it
Hey,
at all. Yeah.
gotta keep moving.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was curious about the Maeve. I'm like,
Mhm.
Maeve, is that your nickname or something? But you said it's the goddess warrior
Yeah,
goddess?
she was a warrior queen in Ireland,
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
Awesome. Super interesting.
Yes.
And tell us about,
Yeah.
as Maeve 40 evolved, who is your clientele and what services do you provide them with?
Yeah. So most of my clients I would characterize high achieving women that may be entrepreneurs, folks in corporate America, but those who have, find it difficult to find time to work out and really want something that challenges them to change them. I think now my main folks are eh, between probably 40s and 50s, but I'll go, go as young as mid 30s to as old as 70s. So, and some men thrown in there here and there. Some of my clients' husbands say that they're scared of me. So I don't know what that means. I don't know, in terms of being disciplined or being very sort of no nonsense about things, that may be some of that, but yeah, so, and it's one-on-ones in person and virtual. I teach in groups as well, in person and virtual. I started off actually really to sort of jumpstart things with retreats. And so I did a couple of women's retreats, which I really enjoyed doing. And those were called Wonder Woman. So the idea of kind of like the Wonder Woman, but the wandering woman, just finding what do we call it? Your minimum effective dose, right? The right prescription for you to feel joy, to feel strong, to feel balance in your life. And so that's kind of how it all started. And now we've got a nice roster of clients that I get to work with, and it's a true privilege to be able to work with these men and women every day.
For the Wonder Woman events,
Mhm.
do these in different locations? I'm assuming like a weekend retreat type deal.
Yeah,
What does that consist of?
we
Yeah.
did a weekend. One was in New Buffalo, Michigan. We did one at Starved Rock, sort of during sort of right when it was a little bit more comfortable for people to come out during the pandemic. We haven't done one recently, so we're working. I have some things in the fire, not necessarily Wonder Woman focused, but maybe it will return. I was in Japan over the past 10 days, and someone said, "Hey, I'm ready to come to your retreat." And I was like, I don't want to have one on the books yet, but maybe we'll see.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
what some of the modalities that I was looking at that you use, kettlebells, yoga, weightlifting, body weight training. And the one thing that kind of popped out was Spartan SGX. What is that?
Right. So for Spartan, they have a certification for the coaches, and that's SGX. So once I started racing, I said, you know what, I really would like to add this to the mix of my coaching modalities, and it was really a great way to continue to race, to continue to get people involved and put teams together. I don't like to run like many of us, and so I thought oh, isn't it cool to instead of doing running just for running's sake, combine running because that's what gets your time down faster with these really, sort of full body experience obstacles. So whether it's rope climb or you're carrying 50 pounds over, on your shoulders, or spear throw, which is hit or miss for many of us. It was a way to just to do something a little bit different, get dirty, I would still have my lipstick on, but get dirty, run around, and just find some adventure in the process of getting fit and feeling good.
I haven't done any of the Spartan races. I've done like regular races, but it seems like,
Right,
going over like a taxi cab and monkey bars and all those things
right,
is
right.
is going to be a lot more fun than just going straight for, 3 hours.
Right, right. Well, and then that's the thing, for preparing for those races, you do need to, some of those pre races you might do a half marathon. You might do, depending on what length race, because there's three lengths. It's basically a 5K, a it ends up being between a 6K and a 10, or like a 10K and then a half marathon. And they have ultra marathon. I am a shorter woman. I used to be a sprinter. So I just said, you know what? I could do that. I've actually never done a marathon before. My mom's done 12. And so it's not that it's not within me, but I just said, I'd rather spend 6 hours with running and these other obstacles versus just run for 3 or 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, and you also get again, it's a little bit of a mental break to like go over obstacles and do other things, but
That's right.
learning the skills of, I mean, monkey bars, climbing the cargo nets and things
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
that is very useful things in life that'll
Right. Super
transition
functional.
over, yeah, to everything. So
Right.
that's got to
Exactly.
be super fun, especially if you're
Exactly.
gonna do it with like a a bunch of people and they're
No,
all
and you
like,
get cool pictures, like,
yeah.
no, yeah, they're come up on my screensaver. No, no, no problem. Sure, I do this every day.
And with the Maeve 40, I was just kind of going on the YouTube. You do a ton of content. It's super awesome. And it's not just pigeonholed into one thing. You have fitness videos, breath work, even self-love affirmations on there. I thought that was amazing. I think that's so good for somebody to get into the space of like, yes, you want to get physically fit. Yes, we want to take care of the nutrition piece, but it's also breath work and self-affirmation. That's huge.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I really try and, I grew up a dancer. I still dance and sometimes coach dancers. But I really think it's important to think about your health in a 360-degree way. And I try to incorporate, and I'll adjust it depending on the client or group of clients, right? But really trying to incorporate all of those things simultaneously to give people, because and especially we're based in Chicago, and I think this is the case. This is the case across the country, at least in the United States. You're a member here, and then you go to yoga here, and then you're combining this. And so, my goal was not necessarily, and if you've got a membership at X, gym that's going to give you your endurance training, fine. But I'm going to try and give you a well-rounded experience so that you don't have to, if you didn't want to, have 4 and 5 different memberships to get the full experience. Now, I'm not a breathwork master, right? So if you want to dig deeper, but I'm gonna give you enough so that you can really feel supported in your fitness journey wherever you are.
That's great. That's great. And now let's move into some animal flow. Uh, the big thing for me, I took your
Yeah,
class and we did the
right,
whole animal flow. We're learning the different movements, and I wrestled, so I'm like, this will be pretty easy for me.
right.
I'm pretty good at it. And then the next day, I didn't tell anybody this, but the next day, my glutes were on absolute fire. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa! I felt like swear to God, I was like, did I heavy squat yesterday? I don't even
right,
remember like doing
right. We
anything
did
like
squat
this.
that day, but not like,
I
yeah.
didn't. You
Oh,
guys
you did.
did. No, I was working on my bench press. Everybody else was
Right.
squatting. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's right. That's
and
right.
I
Yeah.
had to think about it. I go, was I squatting? I was like, I
Right.
couldn't remember that. But kind of walk us through what got you into animal flow and what do people kind of perceive that is versus like what is really animal flow?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I got into animal flow in the pandemic. I had, as I shared with you and the other folks in our class that day, I had seen it, because it had been part of the curriculum at Equinox, and I think I had left Equinox at the time, so I kind of missed the boat there. But I said, okay, well, if Equinox has it, it can't be, that crazy, or someone's trying to invent a push-up. And once I started, it was May 2020. I totally kind of kicked myself. I said, why did I wait so long to do this thing where I never really thought I could reclaim for myself the level of um, just like meaningful and intentional movement that would just make me a better mover overall and for that particular practice. Animal flow is a self practice that's meant to be done with other people, but it's really focused on inviting you to have a better conscious awareness with your body by bringing your body in contact with the floor. So quadrupedal movement training with enclosed kinetic chain. So just bringing your hands and feet in contact with the ground and moving in as many angles, in as many planes of motion, and you're shifting weight, sort of back and forth from the hands into the feet and vice versa. And so when you're talking about your glutes, being, activated from the day before.
Sore.
Yeah, I mean, so we have 6 components. So there's wrist mobilizations, which are really meant to make sure that you have a positive experience. You have activations. Now, it could have happened in activations as just a way for us to prime or wake up the body. We have reform specific stretches. Now, those are that's kind of like our strength portion. So some of those movements, like crab reach or ape reach, may look like yoga. But they are, especially if you do them in a certain way, and especially when you're learning for the first time and you're holding the positions for a little bit longer, you may have more glute activation and or more core activation. But and then so that's three. And then we have, of course, our traveling forms. Those are things that look most like animal locomotion. And so when people think of animal flow, like, hey, aren't you here trying to mimic animals? Well, no, the animal in animal flow is the human animal, right? So it's really about making our human animal a more high functioning vessel, right? And then the switches and transitions, that's our fifth component. And that's just the glue that connects one movement to the next, and some of the movements we learned there. And the final is flow. And most flows, or all flows, are pre-designed sequences that are meant to really meant to be movement puzzles. And either you can just do those movement puzzles in and of themselves, or you can incorporate them like we did, or try to kind of prepare us for our kettlebell workout that day. You can do them as if you're doing a metabolic workout, or if you're trying to use supersets and you're doing heavy squats or deadlifts or swings. You can incorporate or kind of couple some of the movements really, really easily for whatever else that you're doing. But I think that's the point. It's really strength and motion, really trying to complement and make you a better you in whatever type of movement that you want to do. Yeah.
The activation piece too. I was working on bench presses later in that day, and they felt really great. I mean, like I was like, wow, like these are feeling pretty good. And then Rob was like, yeah, because we did all those movements earlier, and that's probably
Right.
opened up your shoulder, your thoracic spine a
Right.
lot. I was like,
Right.
I actually I think because we got together on a Sunday, the
Oh
next
yeah.
day, I was doing some of those quad positions with I'm a PE
Mm-hmm.
teacher. So I added that we were doing strength training as one of the PE units, which I'm a fan of. Some of the kids, maybe not.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
they're like, we got to do what today? And that
Right.
was a part of our warm up. We are doing like the right hand coming off with the left foot coming off. And it was,
Those limb lifts will get you every time. We still, like, folks that have been coaching for a long time, or they never get better. Unfortunately, they're always tough. I mean, they have gotten better, but it's still, then you hold for longer, right? Because your body is adapted to being able to hold it for a certain period of time.
and the kids, because it was something different that we haven't done in a while or at all, and it was very challenging for them. They liked it. They're like, "Oh, can we try this
Right.
again?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, sure." I
Yeah.
was like, "You
Yeah.
just, you just like got my. This is now a part of our warm up." So
Yeah.
I loved it.
And games with some of those, we didn't do a lot of locomotive. We can talk about this later too, but some of the
Yeah,
locomotive, they're nice to be able to do with children, because you can make them races. Obviously you want them to have good form while they're doing them, but it's nice because there's lots of different ways to travel with the movements that make it a lot of fun for kids.
that's a big thing that I see as because I've coached youth sports, youth wrestling.
Mhm.
I've been a PE teacher for a very long time, middle school all the way through high school, and just the movement patterns of
Right.
kids nowadays, it's 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 off. It's getting into like a jump, a broad jump into triple extension
Right.
is really
Right.
tough. Squat
Right.
patterns are really tough, but this is some stuff that is it needs to be incorporated more because the kids aren't getting enough movement throughout their days. So just making the connection in their mind and their body, and you also have these kiddos doing too much at a young
Right.
age where it's
Right.
impairing the development because they're focused
Right.
on this one sport. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think that'll be really great. I think I'm gonna start adding more of this stuff to the PE class, especially the fifth graders, because they need it the
Right.
most.
No, I mean, I think, we talk about kids. I mean, I worked with the hip lay ballerinas here in Chicago, and that was interesting because now, we worked for 12 weeks, and just talking about the change and sort of mixing the movement patterns up. And I was a dancer that we were so used to external rotation in your legs, like turning out, turning out, turning out. So the concept of being able to internally rotate at the hip was just not foreign, but really, really tough, right? And I think if, we think about that resilience, right? And resilience can be just the ability to adapt, right? The ability or to age with curiosity. We can be better athletes if we can move in all ways, right? Moving in all angles and all ways, right? All the time, so that we can just, now it's icy out, or now it's not icy out anymore in Chicago, but it was. Being able to like just catch yourself, right? In a weird angle, just for more functional movement. But for your children athletes, for your highest form athletes, whether they're dancers or jujitsu or whatever the case is, right? It can be really, I think, eye-opening to find out what your gaps are in your training, right? You might be really, or like NFL players are really great, right? Or a running back, can has speed, right? Maybe not so much endurance, or maybe they've got endurance over power, right? But the balance and agility piece of it, or some of the other biomotor abilities might be lacking. So it just helps to help fill those gaps, I think.
You mentioned a little injury prevention.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the stat. I forget the stat, but it was, but is the more people that know how to roll, like do a forward roll, as you get older, you have less injury because you're
Right,
just able to kind of break the fall and roll through it versus like falling absolutely flat.
right, right. No, that's absolutely right. I
And
don't remember exactly what it is either.
yeah, uh, we'll fact check that later.
Right, 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 right.
How do you get certified for animal flow?
Right. So there are workshops all over the world. One of the pillars I didn't get a chance to talk about is community. So we're in 50 countries all over the world. There are workshops everywhere, and of course online. We have an upcoming workshop here in Chicago, June 22nd and 23rd. But master instructors come in, they'll fly in to local cities, and it's usually a 2 day, 7 hours a day process. Now, just because you attend the workshop, like some workshops that we go to as instructors or as instructors or CPTs, right, is you get the certificate immediately. No, 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 not an animal flow. There's a whole process, and you have to wait a minimum of 30 days to submit your test out. And your test out is it's two different things. It's you coaching a flow that you've created, 90-second flow to someone else who's relatively, they have to know the movements, so you're not correcting them the whole time. And then where you also are basically filming 30 movements of you performing the movements, and someone then is going through with this spreadsheet and just basically checking that you've got the right angles, you've understood the movement, and it takes hours to prepare. I actually help folks who have gone through the process to test out, so that because sometimes you come back and they'll say, hey, someone missed 10 movements. I'm like, how did you miss 10 movements? Like, we have a whole manual that tells you, like, just look back at your video. Did you look back at the foot? Did you do these things? So um, it's a process, and as you grow in the practice for level 2 and level 3, it gets even more challenging. So I'm now working on my level 3 certification. So hopefully that will happen this year. But I have lots of tuck planche and serratus anterior and latissimus dorsi exercises and prep and core stuff to do this year, which is going to be so much fun.
That's so cool. I love that, you did you're RKC or Strong First?
RKC, RKC.
RKC, Russian
Mm-hmm.
Kettlebell. I just love that those types of things where you're doing a certification and you have to test out, there's a component of it versus
Right,
just showing up. I
right,
think I love that it's a standard and this is what you need to do to pass. And if you can't meet the standard, I absolutely you have time to work on it or whatever, but
that's right,
you have the time and they're not going to just leave you high and dry, right? They're just going to work with you or get you to somebody who can help. But
that's
there's a
right,
lot of certifications out there. It's just the exam, the test, of this, to that. And then as long as you're a good test taker and you can pass it, and there's so many like kinesiology components to it where if you just know that material, you can
right,
probably pass versus are
right,
you a good coach? That's two
right.
different, that's two different things.
Way two different things. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's I think that's why I love it, that the integrity part of it is something that I very much enjoy. And I think it's something where, there's thousands of animal flow instructors all over the world, and we hold each other accountable for those things. So it's not only it's the movement, it's understanding why we do what we do, and it's the language, right? So it's like learning Japanese or French or Italian, learning when to use this verb versus this adverb, and sort of to create these sentences of movement that create these movement puzzles. So and then being able to do that correctly by just doing some movement analysis, right? So being able to watch someone move and say, hey, that's left leg under switch into right leg full scorpion, that sort of thing. So, and I love language, so there's that part of it is really, really exciting for me. I know I'm a super nerd, but it's okay.
Hey, you're all fired up. I love it.
I know.
And I think the audio may have cut out a smidge, but
Mhm.
what were those dates again? You said there's going to be is it workshop or certification?
Yeah, so level one workshop will be June 22nd and 23rd. We will be at Chicago Multicultural Dance Center. And that's the Saturday and Sunday. And a master instructor, Kathy Donato, will be teaching it, and I will be there assisting.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely mention that in the show notes. And you had the opportunity to go on Chicago today and do some
Yes.
animal flow. How was that?
Oh my gosh, Matt is the best. I actually, Courtney Hall, she wasn't able to make it that day. I think she was under the weather. But, it was interesting because I think Courtney was my main contact before, I went on the show. And so Matt said, I don't know anything. Like when we do our little 5 minutes of prep, and he said, I don't know anything. Tell me everything I need to know for the segment. And it was amazing. He got it immediately. He said, oh no, that's so other than just doing, just bicep curls and squats, just moving in sagital plane. Oh, I totally understand why you do this. You're trying to, build resilience in your body. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're coaching the whole athlete. I said, yeah, you got it. And he was a very good student. He learned the under switch, which is the movement we worked on as well. And that's usually one of the more challenging movements, because people want to bring their leg over and not bring the leg under, and they want to, it's kind of like we characterize it as like being like a rotisserie or on a rotisserie, and you're just kind of rotisserieing on your on a contralateral contact with the floor. So yeah, it was so fun, and I would love to do it again or anything like that again, because it's just and 3.5 minutes go by really quickly.
It's all
Um,
they're like, hey, you have 3.5 minutes. It's like a comic stand up for the first time
yeah,
going
and it was
up.
like, you
Like,
have 30 seconds left. I was like, wait a minute, we didn't even get to like, okay, and that's the wrap. Good
yeah,
job.
yeah. Like,
It was a
can you
lot of
put
fun.
this in super speed? Like, film it all and then super speed
Right,
us all the way through.
right,
That's super
exactly.
cool. That's cool to get on TV
Yeah.
and to just, share that with people and all the viewers. I want to transition to
Mhm.
something that I had no idea that you did was snowboarding.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How is snowboarding? Like I just saw some videos. It had to be a drone or a helicopter. I don't know. Just doing the videos of you and you're just
Oh,
absolutely shredding it up.
right, right. Yeah, I think it was a drone that we were in Sheepshead Cabin in southern part of Colorado, in a hut with no running water, and outhouses, and it was great. It was great. But no, I grew up skiing as a young girl. I had the privilege to ski as a young girl in starting at the age of 4. And my family, we did family vacations, went with other families, that kind of thing. And it wasn't until my mid 20s I went on a trip. Actually went on a trip with my father, and I was still skiing at the time. And I met all these people. There's actually an organization called the National Brotherhood of Snow Sports, and it's all African American skiers and snowboarders and other enthusiasts. And we were like hanging out and skiing and having all this fun. And I said, "Oh my God, goodness! Like once I finish law school, and I had just gotten into law school. Once I finish law school, I want to start skiing again. This is something that's important to me." And I started, and I think it was my 20 something birthday. And I said, I want to try snowboarding. Let me try this out. And I got on that snowboard, and I think like Animal Flow, it just clicked. And I think because I have a dance background, there's just a different playfulness to snowboarding that I just really it just gelled with me immediately. And it's now been 20 years. since I've been snowboarding, and it's probably been the last 10, I would say, where I decided to take it more seriously and just got my level 1 snowboard instructor certificate last year. Working on level 2. So it's like animal flow, there's 3 levels, and there's 3 levels in the snowboard in PSIA, AASI, the American Snowboard Governing Body. So yeah, so there's lots of things, but now at 47, doing some of these jumps and 180s and grabs and things like that, I have a little bit more fear than I did maybe 10 years ago. But I think I'll make it through at least level 2. We'll see. We'll check. I have pressure. I have people in my ear saying I need to, work towards level 3, which involves entering and exiting half pipe stuff. So I don't know if that's going to be for me, but at least if I can
Yeah,
get to
like
level
Shaun
2.
White, like doing Shaun White stuff.
No, exactly. No, I don't even have to do a flip. Just like, you enter and you have to leave the air, leave the ground and then come back down, switching edges and all of that. So, we'll see. We'll see. My body
Okay.
feels good. I mean, that's the thing I love about all of the things that I do. And especially that's how I got into RKC. Just I had done some other forms of movement, which I got injured with. And I thought like, how can I don't need to do 1 rep maxes unless sometimes, like we do for our kettlebell competitions, we'll do deadlift 1 rep maxes, but I take my time. I'm not rushed. We only get 1 body, so we need to take care of it. And the more we train, we have to train like pros, and we don't have pro money to take care of our bodies. So you have to take take things a little bit slower. So I will do that. But it's just so much fun. I'm just so grateful that my body can move in the way that it moves. And now I've added that as a modality. Haven't exactly figured out where I sort of did. I think I'll probably start teaching at Beaver Creek in Colorado part-time or full-time, just to get those teaching reps under my belt. Because I really do. I never thought I'd really love coaching, but I really love, I mean, you know how it is. Like you see the light go off in people's eyes, or just they feel strong. Or all the women especially the women who learn how to swing a kettlebell for the first time, they're like, I just feel so strong. And it's really incredible.
I just had a conversation with somebody about we were it was Robin Shapiro was on, and I was talking about how matching up trainers,
Mhm.
is there any obstacles that you have like as a female trainer? It's just like sometimes a guy doesn't want to go with a girl trainer
Right,
because they think they're not
right,
going to push him as hard. And
right.
then the gym that I work at is a kettlebell gym called Shift Performance. And I had a conversation with somebody, and they're like thinking about doing, one-on-ones, this and that. We're trying to figure out whose coaching availability is going to fall under, based on the schedule. And he's
Right.
like, "Oh, is that a girl trainer right there? Is that one of yours?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I look over, and it's like, one of the trainers is doing like a 32K get
Right.
up. I was like,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, she's
Yeah,
strong.
you're gonna be fine.
You're gonna be fine. He's like, "Whoa, okay." And going into some upcoming projects, I know that you talked
Mhm.
about the workshop that's coming up for certifications. Any upcoming I mean, it seems like you have a lot of projects coming up, more animal flow,
Yeah.
instructor certification, more snowboarding certification. Any other workshops or retreats coming up?
Yeah, so I do have with a couple of the master instructors with Animal Flow. I'm a regional leader, level 2 instructor, but we've decided to band together to create. We haven't completely figured it all out yet, but a kind of immersion experience offering, if you will, that will be offered next year. So we're checking out locations. It might be somewhere in Arizona, kind of like the Sedona area. And we don't know if it will just be for women or if it would be kind of it would be co-ed, or for all genders, or non-gender
Mhm.
conforming folks. But I think the kind of the thing that's bringing us all together is just really trying to like create magic for people, or just the word was spell cast, and so not to be like weird or anything, but just I think just give people space to giving people space to grow. And I think one of my kind of motto for myself right now is making room for worthiness. And so like creating a container for any and all of those individuals to feel seen, to feel heard, to have an opportunity to grow within their bodies. So we'll do we have, and it's super cool. One woman, she's actually like a master baker also. So she's a chef, like highest form of pastry making. And so we might incorporate some kind of baking thing. And another has been, just like an OG in the fitness world all the way around, and me. So I just throw me in the mix there. So I think we're mixing up something great. We're working on what it's going to be called, but definitely something to look out for in 2025.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then how can people contact you? What's the best way?
Yeah, Instagram is really, really easy. So it's Maeve 40 Fitness at Maeve 40 Fitness. I also have a phone, business phone, which is 312-847-2598. You send a text there, I will respond to you. And usually from there, I'd send a link to get us on the phone just to chat and see what your goals are, see if it might be a good fit, and then we go from there.
When you said I got two phones, I thought of the Kevin Gates song. I got two phones.
Right, right, right. Unfortunately, I don't have to have two phones with technology, and thank God, thank technology these days. But yes, that line will capture your questions so that and they will get to me.
and just going through this whole thing with you, in the back of my head, like when we got to the snowboarding stuff, I was like, I think Mackenzie's a secret agent. Like
I get that a lot.
that's the only thing that makes sense to
Right,
me.
right,
I'm thinking of
right.
like the was it which golden eye, not golden eye. It was one of
Oh,
the
I know what you were
double O
saying.
seven double O
Yeah, double
sevens where
seven.
he's skiing. He's got like two machine guns while he's skiing and evading the bad guys and
Right,
saving the
right,
world.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, say one person at a time to make them feel, better within themselves. That's my 007 version.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time and sharing some, your fitness journey and then also the animal flow experience for people. And I'll link anything on there as well, all the information so people can check out like the workshops and see if there's any other pop-ups in Chicago or other locations.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Cool.
much. That'd be great.
Aw- Awesome. Thanks again to everybody listening to the Primal Foundations podcast.